Alright, we're doing a quick review of adding and subtracting fractions. If you look at 6F15, you have 1/5 plus 2/6. Anytime you add or subtract fractions, you must have a common denominator. These two on the bottom have to be the same. One of the easiest ways to do that is to take this number and multiply it to this fraction. So you multiply it, and whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. Now you take this number and multiply it to this fraction. Matthew C. calls this the rule of 4. Take this number and multiply it to that fraction, then take this number and multiply it to that one. Because now you can see when we multiply the denominators, we're going to get 30 in both of these denominators, and then they will be the same. Okay? So now let's multiply the first fraction for the new fraction, and when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across, numerator to numerator. 6 times 1, 6. 6 times 5, 30, plus 2 times 5, 10. 6 times 5, 30. Now that you have a common denominator, then the denominators are the same, you only add or subtract the numerator. 6 plus 10, 16. And then you do not add the denominator. The denominator stays the same. Okay? Then the instructions say simplify if needed. You always reduce a fraction. We can reduce this fraction. This will for sure reduce by 2. So when you reduce it, we can divide both of them by 2. Whatever you do to one, you have to do to the other. 16 divided by 2, 8. 30 divided by 2, 15. And 8/15 won't reduce anymore. Okay, look at 6F16. Okay, so you have 7/8 minus 1/2. You don't always have to change both of them, okay? So can I multiply something to 2 to turn it into 8? Yes, I can. I can multiply it by 4. If I multiply 4 times 2, I will get 8, and then I will have a common denominator. So you can do it that way, okay? But I also want to show you that the rule of 4 will always work if you don't remember to do just to change one of them. Okay, so the rule of 4 says take this number and multiply it to that fraction. So we're going to take 2 and multiply it to that one. Then we're going to take 8 and multiply it to this fraction. And you multiply it to the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so now we do our new fractions. Multiplying these, just multiply straight across. 2 times 7, 14. 2 times 8, 16. Minus, because that was a minus. 1 times 8, 8. 2 times 8, 16. Now that we have a common denominator, you only add or subtract the numerators. 14 minus 8 is 6, and then the denominator is the same. We can reduce that. Always reduce. We can reduce by 2, meaning we're going to divide them both by 2. 16 divided by 2, 3. 6 divided by 2, not 16. 6 divided by 2, 3. 16 divided by 2, 8. 3 eighths, and that won't reduce anymore. Okay, let's look at these word problems with fractions. On 6F18, 1/4, okay, how do you write 1/4? 1/4. 1/4 of the garden was weeded on Monday, and 2/5, how do you write 2/5? 2/5. 2/5 of it was weeded on Tuesday. What part of the weeding is finished? So 1/4 was weeded one day, 2/5 was weeded another day. What part has all been weeded? Or what part of the weeding is finished? What operation are you going to do? Well, we want to know what the total weeding we have done. Total weeding, add. Okay, so we're adding fractions. So how do you add fractions? You have to have a common denominator. Again, one of the easiest ways, take this number, multiply it to the numerator and denominator of that fraction. Now take this one and multiply it to that one. So take this fraction, multiply both by 5. Over here, multiply the numerator and denominator both by 4. Now your new fractions will be multiplying straight across. 5 times 1, 5. 5 times 4, 20. Plus 2 times 4, 8. Over 5 times 4, 20. Now only add your numerator. 5 plus 8, 13. Over 20. And 13/20 will not reduce, so 13/20 of the weeding is finished. When it's a word problem, you should be putting words after it to know what does 13/20 represent.